Welcome to the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network.
Hello again, Intelligentsia. John Jeffers here on the Contra Radio Network on the Jeffers Brief. Welcome to another episode. Where do I want to start? Well, let me tell you. Ladies, we got to talk about something that's not very pleasant for you lady preppers out there. I'm going to give you 10 tips for female preppers. Now, Diane Vukovic, she wrote this. And it's important that I wanted to put out to the ladies because they're becoming an increasingly bigger part of our audience, and I'm not going to ignore them, especially when they make up most, compared to the males, the females make up more of the population. There are a lot of strong, competent female preppers out there, but let's face it, most of the voices and advice in the prepping community comes from men. So now is the time that we wanted to address prepping from a woman's point of view. So here are the top 10 tips for female preppers. Guys, pay attention. Number one is, being a woman doesn't make you inherently weaker. I've discussed this before. Now, there seems to be a bias saying that women can only be competent if they become Rambo-esque or one of the guys. There is no reason you should have to mimic the guys in order to be strong. True, women might not have as much muscle mass or strength on average as men, but we have a lot of other strengths which can be exploited for survival. If you want to be prepared as a female, then the first thing you need to do is get your mentality straight. Do things your way and not the way the boys say you should. People, listeners, there's no right, there's no wrong way to prep. Now, in the past, I've ridiculed those that say, well, I've got my rice and beans, and that's all they've done. I'm still going to ridicule you for that, because I'll tell you right now, if that's all you've done to prepare, and you got a garage full of toilet paper, let's throw that in. You have done nothing to prep. Nothing. So don't impress me there. You prep prepping is really, it's not a national thing, it's not a global thing, it's local. It's very local to you, the listener, the prepper. You prep for what could be very prevalent of an occurrence happening in your geographic location. Number two, ladies, it's time to upgrade your menstrual hygiene. This is a topic no male prepper wants to talk about, but we need to talk about menstrual health or we won't be able to prepare for it. This is part of life, boys and girls. This is what happens. If the grid should go down, and guess what? No more pads or tampons or whatever are coming to refill your store, your grocery store. Guess what? You better have a different plan. Now, one option is to stockpile tons of tampons or pads. That means a lot of expense and a lot of space. Instead, maybe it's time to get started with a menstrual cup. Now, a menstrual cup, and you can find those on Amazon, is a reusable silicone cup that is inserted into your vagina to collect blood. It is proven to be safer than tampons, which come with a risk of toxic shock syndrome, and it works really well. The best thing is that one menstrual cup lasts about 5 years. The cup doesn't take up much space either. So you just need one item for all of your menstrual hygiene preps. And that's all I can really say about it, because let's face it, I'm a guy. I don't know that much about it. All right, number 3. Take a self-defense class. Females are often seen as targets because they are perceived as weak. Show attackers that they are wrong by destroying them with a single blow to the vagus nerve or the Krav Maga groin kick. Make sure that the self-defense class is specifically tailored to women. You'll probably make some new friends there too, and you could add them to your prepping group. Practice emergency conditioning. This is something all preppers should be doing, not just female preppers. Emergency conditioning is a mental training technique in which you visualize a disaster situation in great detail. Women are great at details. I keep telling you that, guys. Hear me now. Believe me later. The exercise helps trick your brain into thinking that you've gone through the ordeal and you'll better respond if it does occur. Now, number 5, put some boots in your get-home bag. Sometimes it's called the bug-out bag. But the get-home bag is meant to help you get home during a disaster situation. For example, if a disaster struck while you're at work, the get-home bag would have everything you need to get home quickly and safely. My friends, the sad fact is this. Many of you preppers out there may not survive a critical incident. It depends on your geographic location, what the incident is, where you are, what time it happens. So, if you often wear heels or dress shoes when out, then you better have some boots in your get-home bag. Do you really want to run through rioting mobs or piles of burning rubble in your heels? I mean, come on. You can get, and you know, this is what you get, my female friends, and preppers in general. What you want are the 9-inch combat boots. There's many brands out there. The cost varies with the quality. So, anyways, something to think about. Number 6, this is true for all of us, get in shape. Fitness isn't just about being able to handle bugging out in the wilderness and all the trekking you might have to do. You'll need to be fit to handle the stress which comes with a disaster, the lack of food, because you can't always rely on your food preps. They may not be there. In situations that might require strength, such as hauling items you scavenged or climbing over walls. Start getting into shape now instead of later. Later, it's too late. Number 7, you want to cut the weight from your bug-out bag. Backpacking rule is your pack should not weigh more than 20% of your body weight. So, if you weigh 140 pounds, your pack should not weigh more than 28 pounds. Ideally, your bug-out bag should even be lighter. The 20% rule is okay for avoiding back pain when trekking long distance, but it isn't suitable for situations where you might have to run with your pack in a disaster situation. Number 8, learn to be alone. This is true for all of us. Now look, there are lots of single female preppers who live alone, and they're doing just fine. But there are also plenty of women who have never really been alone. You know, women tend to be surrounded by, our spouses, children, friends, co-workers. Having a strong support network is important, but it's also important to learn to be by yourself. Spending time alone, actually, one of the best ways to build mental toughness. So start doing things by yourself, like planning a weekend getaway all by yourself. It's okay to be alone. Number 9, embrace your feminine side. Now, there have been survival stories, and one of the most shocking things I heard was about how women survived the siege of Sarajevo during the 4-year Bosnian War. Whenever there was a bit of extra water or electricity would go on, the women would go to the hair salon to beautify themselves. They even held a beauty contest with the contestants holding a banner reading, "Don't let them kill us." That's a message to you men out there, by the way. Mental survival is just as important as physical survival. So go ahead, stockpile something that makes you feel good as a woman. Depending on your style, it might mean having a hairbrush in your bug-out bag or some stockpiles of your favorite face cream at home or, whatever it takes. And number 10, this is important, guys. Ladies, you have to meet other female preppers. They are out there. Now, the prepper community can feel a lot like a boys' club at times. Aside from the occasional post about survival uses for tampons or something similar, You rarely hear prepping talked about from a female perspective. It can be very isolating. And when you feel isolated, you won't get the encouragement and support you need to continue prepping. So reach out to other female preppers. See if there's local preppers meeting in your area. You can meet other like-minded women or join, maybe if you want to join a female-only prepper Facebook group. I don't like Facebook because they'll sell you out in a heartbeat. There are other platforms much more suitable, in my opinion, for that. There you go. Ladies, don't let it be said that I have ignored you. I do not, and I find, when your spouse joins you in prepping, it makes prepping a whole lot easier. Much, much easier. All right, let me take a quick break, and we will get back right after this.
Hello, this is Dave Kirschner from the Dave Kirschner Lightning Round podcast. Do you want to know more about what makes me tick beyond my books? Then go to my website at davidjkirschner.com. There you can read about my latest adventures on the blog, discover what books and websites I recommend, download my research papers, find the latest episode of the podcast, see spot pricing for precious metals, and much, much more. Or perhaps you want to contact me for advice, ask a question, or make a suggestion for the podcast or a blog post. Then go to the contact page on my website at davidjkirschner.com. Best of all, everything is free.
That's right here on CRN. Hey, by the way, my friends, I was talking to Dave over the weekend, and he's going to have a new trademark segment on his podcast called The Biden Jackassery Tree. Yes, it is true. It's low-hanging fruit, but he's going to expose it. All right. Had me giggling all weekend. The jackassery tree. I might want to plant those in my garden. By the way, if you haven't planted your garden now, still not too late. Hurry up and get it in. Because you know what? When you grow your own food, guess what? It's free. You don't have to pay for it. And it's better for you. All right, hey. In case you patriots out there didn't know, the media hates you. It hates all conservatives. And it is shocked that you hate it back. Kurt Schlichter, great article. It was so good, I have to share it with you, my friends. I have to. If you want to read it, you can find it at Town Hall. But I gotta share it with you. It's that good. Now, I guess we'll be told we're unseemly if we giggle at the cancellation of the useless stooge Don Lemon's low-rated airport lounge video music, or at how the Israelis leveled the Gaza high-rise housing the AP and Al Jazeera. Well, color us unseemly, because when the media suffers, we celebrate. We're not going to apologize for it. Half of America, at least, now cares about the media precisely as much as the media cares about us. That is, not at all. In fact, we actively wish it ill. We cheer when some trash website or paper folds. The frequent layoff announcements make us giddy. Sad journalists whining about how people on Twitter dare criticize them cause us to howl in delight. Our contempt for them is a result of their contempt for us. And as individuals, collectively, we should do whatever we lawfully can to hasten the collapse of the mainstream media as an institution. Harsh? No, not at all. You see, the media hates us and actively sides with our enemies. It's always amusing how these hacks do not even bother to hide their full-throated collaboration with the people who want us silenced, disenfranchised, and or dead, yet get all huffy when we refuse to treat them as the neutral truth-tellers they aren't. The most active supporters of censorship in our culture are members of the news media itself, bar none. They cover up Democrat perfidy and invent Republican scandals. They try to police our language. They condescend to us. They dox innocent civilians. They lie all the time. They carry water for liberal leakers. They tried to get our own real reporters, like Town Hall's Julio Rosas, killed by refusing to follow the narrative. Yet, we're supposed to pretend they deserve our respect and deference, that they are courageous heroes battling for truth. They are a joke. The media is garbage, and we must treat it as such. Now take Don Lemon, preferably far away. Apparently, the business model of catering to Blue Anon shut-ins who wear their mask in the shower isn't working out so well. He's off the air as of last week. Maybe he'll come back in some form to torment people running to catch a Delta flight. But perhaps CNN is tired of getting ratings on par with the Macrame Channel and the Enlarged Prostate Network. I have some history with this human punchline. In my last appearance on CNN in December 2015, he cut my mic when I refused his command not to point out his ridiculous hypocrisy regarding Flonia Milhouse von Pantsuit. He will not be missed except by his fans, both of them. Also, Don's fellow licensed and registered regime advocate Brian Stelter is a potato. The tube's number one tuber is still on the air for now, flacking for his masters and dodging hungry Dubliners. Over the weekend, America cheered as the Israelis flattened the building housing the Associated Press in Gaza. I did. This led to widespread laughter and high fives among American patriots. And we were even happier when we found out later that the same high-rise also housed some Hamas military headquarters. What? Say it ain't so. By the way, good job, Israel. American journalists informed us this was terrible, but they never quite explained why. After all, the Gaza branch of the media is not a bunch of Middle Eastern Woodwards and Bernsteins digging up the truth and not caring whose toes they step on. They are dedicated Palestinian propaganda transcriptionists who play a central role in facilitating the terrorist information operations against the only free country in the region. They chose a side, and it was the other side. So don't ask us to care when they get treated like it. Now, some might argue that a free society needs a crusading media to function. That's a nice cliche, but it assumes both that we still have a free society and a crusading media. If you think we have a free society, think again. There is a war on dissent, and the media is leading the charge in coordination with its tech buddies. Try posting some COVID stuff that doesn't slavishly follow the ever-changing narrative. You could in a free society. Understand the media supports the suppression of unapproved speech. They want everyone else gagged and dissenting information suppressed. They call stuff that rejects their narrative disinformation, as if the clowns taking dictation from Raggedy Ann McCircleback are the arbiters of objective reality. And a crusading media? These are the same people who had a presidential nominee's son cold taking megabucks from foreigners, including the Chi-Coms, and who was blasting rails off the behinds of strippers. And they actively suppressed the story because it would hurt their preferred candidate. If it was Don Jr. instead of President Asterix's snorchinate son, it would have been wall-to-wall coverage. The best part was that the same people who brought the bogus Russian PP tape story whole hog were suddenly squeamish about Russian disinformation that everyone knew was nothing of the sort. The media made a conscious decision to suppress perhaps the juiciest scandal in American history to help the Democrats. So please, don't ask us to care when bad things happen to it. Well, please, ask us. Now, you can't personally fire Don Lemon or drop a missile from your F-15 on some buildings where the media is actively collaborating with America's murderous enemies. But what can you do to hasten the destruction of the garbage media? Number one, don't patronize it. Don't subscribe to the enemy media outlets. Don't watch them. Give them nothing. Number two, never help them. When mainstream media outlets call you to get some information, refuse to help and tell them why, because they suck. And GOP you need to rethink going to the media that hates us. I get the idea of speaking to the other side to expose them to the truth, but it won't work. If you're effective, you'll get diverted, distracted, or your mic will be cut off like Lemon did to this author. Number 3, support GOP candidates who will cut off the special privileges the garbage media enjoys. The media now wants additional antitrust exemptions and intellectual property protections from Congress to save it from collapse. How about, that's a hard no. Number 4, mock the media. There is no institution with a more inflated sense of itself than the press. That smug self-satisfaction is one of the things that helps make up for the crummy pay, though most young journalists today are rich kids whose birthing parent and daddy subsidize them. Your refusal to pretend that these oaths deserve respect causes them no end of fussy fury. So refuse. The media hates you. You owe it nothing. Give it nothing except your contempt. We'll be right back.
Sierra Flooring and Design salutes America's military.
We're proud to be Americans in this land of liberty.
At Sierra Flooring and Design, we're proud to serve the families who serve America. And we're proud to offer special discounts to all members of the military. For all your family's flooring needs, see Sierra Flooring and Design on the corner of 5th and Wilcox in Sierra Vista, or call 458-SIERRA.
All right, welcome back. Hey, you preppers and patriots, listen up. The Roberts Court is a farce in my opinion. They have absolutely no credibility whatsoever. But anyways, it appears yesterday the Supreme Court struck down the Biden-backed police firearm seizure case. The Supreme Court has dealt the Biden administration a defeat on a caretaking case. The case tested whether or not police could enter private property without a warrant if an individual was believed to pose a threat to himself or others. In the case, Caniglia versus Strom, the Supreme Court ruled that caretaking did not justify entering a man's home to remove firearms because he was believed to have expressed suicidal ideations. The man was taken to a local mental health facility for psychiatric evaluation. Police entered the home under a community caretaking exception that allows entry in cases where doing so benefits the public interest, which has traditionally applied to incidents regarding vehicles, but not in homes, Forbes has reported. That exception has been favored by law enforcement in the case and also the Biden administration, whose Justice Department said in an amicus brief that police should be able to enter homes without a warrant in cases that are objectively grounded in a non-investigatory public interest such as health or safety, Forbes' report continued. The Supreme Court ruled that such purported exception violates the Fourth Amendment law against unreasonable search and seizure. What is reasonable for vehicles is different from what is reasonable for homes, Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his opinion. Thomas noted that the community caretaking exception did not constitute a standalone doctrine that justifies warrantless searches and seizures in the home. The Supreme Court's ruling was unanimous. 9-0. Oh, poor baby. Oh, well, here you go.
Hello, this is Dave Kirschner from the Dave Kirschner Lightning Round Podcast. Are you new or stalled in your preparedness planning? Do you want to learn more about herbal remedies? If so, then pick up a copy of one of my 2 nonfiction books. In Preparing to Prepare, I take a duration-based approach toward minor, moderate, and major disruptions to solve problems big and small, all in an effort to help you get better prepared for what life and society throw at you. In my Home Remedies, Poultices, Salves, and Tinctures book, I help you jumpstart your medicinal garden, plans, and ideas by providing details on over 30 ingredients that you can grow and combine into over 200 recipes. These recipes address everything from abscesses, infections, and pink eye to aches and pains, boils, soaps, and shampoos. If you've got an issue, my robust index will point you to the solution. So pick up a copy of these 2 nonfiction books today. You will not be disappointed.
Hey, remember, Dave Kirschner, he's got a show called The Lightning Round right here on Contra Radio Network. Feel free to expose yourself to that, as well as to The Right Side of Politics with Chuck and Dersh, another new show, as well as Freedom Fridays, another new show with Carl Gallups. Oh, and don't forget Anthony Williams with the Independent Mouth. You'll like him too. Expose yourself to him. Listen to him, guys. You got nothing to lose. You're not doing anything anyways but driving back and forth to work. Might as well get some education, get caught up on some stuff that you need to do. Hey, there's a report out that Biden will secretly surveil service members for concerning views he disagrees with. Oh, really, Your Majesty? I got a better idea. Why don't you kiss both sides of my white patriotic ass? There you go. According to a new report, President Joe Biden's administration will soon be teaming up with private companies to surveil service members. The intention of this action is to weed out members who have concerning views. Now, The Intercept reports an extremism steering committee led by Bishop Garrison, a senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense, is currently designing the social media screening pilot program, which will continuously monitor military personnel for concerning behaviors, according to a Pentagon briefing in late March. Although in the past, the military has balked at surveilling service members for extremist political views due to First Amendment protections. The pilot program will rely on a private surveillance firm and in order to circumvent First Amendment restrictions on government monitoring, according to a senior Pentagon official. Though the firm has not yet been selected, the current front-runner is Babel Street, a company that sells powerful surveillance tools, including social media monitoring software. Oh, I'm sure they're monitoring me. And by the way, Babel Street, you too can kiss both sides of my patriotic white ass. According to spokesperson for a member of the House Armed Services Committee and Representative Don Bacon, a Republican from Nebraska, he was not aware of the plan, saying, "I have discussed this with our defense team, and as of right now, we have not heard anything from the DOD that would confirm this story." Of course they're not going to put it out there, you dumbass. You think they're... Good God. Ugh. The House Armed Services Committee released the following statement in response to the report. The committee understands that the Department of Defense is exploring a means of implementing social media screening in conjunction with background investigations. Oh yeah, I can tell that's going to be fair. We anticipate that any social media screening would be intended only as an additional means of vetting cleared individuals or those seeking to obtain a security clearance, not as a tool for ongoing surveillance of all men and women in uniform. That is so much bullshit. First of all, security clearance is done by the FBI. Not that they're any earth shakes the way they've turned out to be. Their Department of Justice is an absolute farce also. Anyway, they don't need a private firm to do that. That said, Secretary Austin has been clear about his intentions to understand to what extent extremism exists in the force and its effect on good order and discipline. We look forward to hearing the results of the stand down and the department's plan to move forward. The report states that the Biden administration will be searching for keywords that they define as extremism. This is extremely dangerous, considering Democrats have a history of labeling anything having to do with conservatism as extremism. Using keywords to monitor social media isn't just an unnecessary privacy invasion, it is a flawed strategy that will ensure it is short-lived, said retired FBI agent Mike Germain. It will be undoubtedly produce a flood of false positives that will waste security resources and undermine morale without identifying the real problem, which is the tolerance for those that openly engage in racist behavior and discrimination. My friends, let me tell you something. The liberals see the U.S. military as a giant social experiment for them to play with. The military has one goal only. And it isn't nation building, no. It is to kill people and destroy things. That is their job. When enemies are identified and our country needs to strike back, we call on the military to do what? Kill people and destroy things. That's it. Bottom line. End of it. But we want to go out there and give food to the hungry, starving nations. Well, then you should join the Peace Corps and go and do it. Idiots. By the way, I'm not going to go there. All right, my friends. I'm glad to see that Liz Cheney has completed step 1 on her path to the private sector. If we can only get the citizens of Wyoming to complete step 2 and send her to the private sector, and all the other rhinos, yes, send them as gone as well. I think that's all I want to say. Hey, Superintelligentsia, good job. Hope you're making the money. I know I am. If you want to join the Superintelligentsia, just go to johnjeffers.rocks, johnjeffers.rocks. Join us. All right. It's only cost you $7. Some of you spend more than that at freaking McDonald's or Burger King. Or Dog and Suds. Love their coleslaw. I do. All right. With that said, I want you to have an American Day. Every day, have an American Day. And do not worry. Patriots, you are not alone. There are other patriots out there, regardless of what that farce of a Department of Justice says or does. All right, my friends. Until next time, I'm John Jeffers. Thanks for listening. Have a good one. Oh, by the way, I want to say thank you to... You know what? No, we'll do that next week. In the meantime, thank you from around the world. Our audience is growing. Hey, California. One last note. I see Newsom says, I'm going to lift the mask mandate in June. You know what? Fuck you. You talk about, please don't throw me out of office. I'll do it. Fuck you, Newsom. You fucking clown. I feel sorry for you people in California, especially in the eastern half of the state, where there's, you know who you are. Georgia, Pennsylvania, keep up the good fight. Thanks for listening. Florida, Texas, we're getting all over the place. Even here in the tyranny state of Illinois. Until next week, I'll see you. Have a good one. Have an American Day.